How you doing, Mr. DJ? Here, number one. We finally made it to number one on my fancy playlist, July 30th, 1989. I probably underestimated this record. This is a hair metal or heavy metal record, whatever you want to call it, with a spiritual edge to it. Lay Your Hands on Me from New Jersey, the album New Jersey by Bon Jovi at number one. Up two from number three, fancy playlist. Now, a lot of the songs that came out of Slippery When Wet, the album before New Jersey, You Give Love a Bad Name, and Living on a Prayer, those songs were co-written by Desmond Child. But this particular record was written by Richie Sambora and John Bon Jovi in the recording studio while they were making New Jersey start off with a guitar riff that Richie Sambora was playing and came out with Lay Your Hands on Me, the album produced by Bruce Fairbairn. It's Fairbairn, in case I'm mispronouncing his last name, Bruce Fairbairn. Let me tell you something. If you're into heavy metal, the hard rock, the classic rock, Bruce Fairbairn, he is your man. He's produced albums by Aerosmith, Bon Jovi. He produced one of Loverboy's album that might have gone one or two or three times platinum. It was the album with Turn Me Loose on it, which came out back in 1981. He produced that and started out producing albums and records for the group Prism, Canadian band called Prism back in the late 70s, early 80s. Prism that never took off here in America, but was pretty popular. They came out with some cool records too. Prism up in Canada, produced an album by Crocus, Bruce Fairbairn, and he recorded he co-produced Flesh and Blood by Poison, which featured Something to Believe In, but Unskinny Pop. Yes, one of those hair metal classics to close out the hair metal era back in 1990. Well, he produced this record. Lay Your Hands on Me, a fan of this record. Dolly Parton. Been a fan of it for years before she put her version on an album she came out with in 2014 called Blue Smoke. She did a gospel version, all-out gospel version of this record. But she asked John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora for permission to use the record. And all three of them got together. They shared their perspectives on the song, and she really loved this record. She and Richie Sambora performed "Lay Your Hands on Me." Dolly Parton, yes, Dolly Parton, Richie Sambora. That must have been a sight to see at the Glastonbury Festival in England, I believe. I believe it's in England, or maybe it's on the Isle of Wight. Well, anyway, it's up near the United Kingdom. Went to number 7. Song went to number 7 here in the States. Number 18 in England, which leads to an interesting trivia about Bon Jovi. Never had a number 1 hit in the UK. But boy, I tell you what, here in the States, I was so happy when You Give Love a Bad Name and Living on a Prayer went to number 1 in the States. It was about time for a good rockin', hard rockin', yet commercial sounding record with an ear-catching melody to soar to number 1 on the charts. Back in 1987 and 88, Bad Medicine, the explosive guitar that launches the record. Fantastic. Bad Medicine. Great chorus to the record, too. Great hook. Lay Your Hands on Me at number 1 on my fantasy playlist of July 30th, 1989, and that wraps up the countdown of this fantasy playlist. The next fantasy playlist I'm going to count down had a request for the fall of 1983. I will honor that request. Count down a fall 1983 playlist falling between Halloween and Thanksgiving 1983. The week of November, well, the date of this fancy playlist, November 20th, 1983. Yes, indeed. Check out some of the top 40 extras on the back of this. Got some jams on here. A song by Jennifer Holliday I'd forgotten about. But Quiet Riot on this fancy playlist, Duran, Lionel Richie, Culture Club, one by the Rolling Stones. Still going strong in the early 80s, Pat Benatar. All right. Rick Springfield on here too. A Lost 45 by Rick Springfield on this fantasy playlist. I'm going to start counting this one down, hopefully Sunday night, Monday morning. All right, so that's it. thanks for watching these videos, and thanks for subscribing to this YouTube channel, or to any of my YouTube channels, as a matter of fact. And, well, take care. And I'll see you on the next countdown.